And unfortunately, in 2020, my father passed away. And one of the things that he made me promise him was that I was not going to give up. And I came this close. And then I was sitting outside and a white butterfly came towards me and landed on my shoulder. And I was like, okay, that's my dad telling me, don't give up. Everything's going to be okay. Keep moving on. And after that, every time I signed something, I signed on moving onward, Marie.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Hanging Out with Successful Bar Exam Takers. We have a story today that is unusual and incredibly inspiring from one of my favorite students, somebody who has literally climbed the mountain to get through the Florida bar exam. And I think the story that Maria is going to tell us today will absolutely amaze most of you and inspire you. And so I just want to welcome you, Marie, to the broadcast. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Jackson. I am doing well, very well, actually.
Yeah, we're so glad to see you. And I teased a little bit that you had this extraordinary climb and mountain. I'm going to let you tell the story as you would like to tell it first, and then we'll go in and dig into how you studied and passed the Florida bar exam, which was not a small accomplishment at all.
Yes, Jackson, I was a former attorney and I was disbarred. And I decided to take the bar exam to attempt to get back into the bar. And that's my story. And I was able to pass the bar by taking Celebration Bar Review.
Yeah. And how many years had it been since you'd taken a bar exam when you had to go back and retake the test?
So I was initially admitted in 95. I was disbarred in 2007. I took the bar again in 2018, the first time that I took it again.
So we've got about a 25-year gap there between taking the bar exam, and the bar exam had changed a lot in that period. Is that safe to say?
Oh, yes. There were many factors. At the time that I took the bar exam, Civ Pro was not part of the MBE. The essay portion of it had changed as well. Of course, the laws had changed. And not only was it difficult based on the substantive portion, but the emotional portion as well, because I was disbarred and trying to get in. That was a huge hurdle, which I want to say you guys helped me with that portion of it as well, the emotional portion of it.
And I can imagine for people who are watching to think about what it means to go back in any circumstance and take a bar exam 20 plus years later. But then you've got the emotional issues of why am I having to do this and going back through it. And you had to sit for all parts of the exam. You had to go through everything just as though you'd never been a member of the bar. And that's a huge challenge for any individual, and certainly something that I think a lot of people can relate to. But in your case, part of this journey was shedding yourself of some of that emotional anger and baggage around it, wasn't it?
Oh, I think that was the main issue because, like I said, CBR prepared me very well. I took it from 2018 and didn't pass it until 2022. At times I was 1 point away. At times I was a few points away. And then, and to add to that, at one portion, I was working 3 jobs. And in my thinking, I was like, oh, I got this, I can do this. But I'm letting people know working full-time and studying is hard as is. So for me, I was working not only a full-time job, but I was also teaching part-time jobs as well and studying for the bar.
It was a lot to do. We were going to focus in on this 4-year period in which you really were intensively taking the bar exam. There were a couple of things there that you say very quickly, but I want to emphasize. You had some circumstances in which you missed by 1 single point. You missed a handful of points. You had all of these things going on. And when you finally passed, your score was
147, I think.
147. Okay.
147 or 145. One of those. Yeah.
So you didn't just pass by a little, when you passed by a whole lot, and that was really extraordinary. I think a lot of people might have given up when they came 1 point short, given everything that had happened to you. I want to talk about that moment because I know that was a really big struggle for you emotionally at that stage when you got that result. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, sure. And Jackson, on top of that, remember we had the coronavirus going on. And then during one part of the administration of the bar exam, they told us we're doing it a month later. And then afterwards, the night before, we got an email, oh, it's been transferred to another date. So I felt like I was on a roller coaster, just to say the least.
There was so much going on in 2020 and early 2021, and all of this was happening. And you went through all of these changes in the dates and the online exams, and you come up a point short. At that stage, what was your emotional response, and why didn't you just give up? Because I know for a while you actually thought about, I'm just going to walk away from this.
Yeah, I said at one point, I was like, I was going to throw in the towel and I was going to say, that's it. But then there's just an inner me tell me, you cannot give up. Don't give up. And the other thing is that my dad saw me struggle. My dad and my family, they all saw me struggle. And unfortunately, in 2020, my father passed away. And one of the things that he made me promise him was that I was not going to give up. And I came this close. And then I was sitting outside and a white butterfly came towards me and landed on my shoulder. And I was like, okay, that's my dad telling me, don't give up. Everything's going to be okay. Keep moving on. And after that, every time I signed something, I signed on moving onward, Marie. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. And you were moving onward. And we're going to talk about some of the tools that you used. But I think the question that a lot of people will have in their minds is, okay, so you went through all of this struggle and challenge. You came close, but not quite. And then you blow past the passing score. Yes. What changed? What was different?
You had given us the photo reading tool. I've always did the mind maps. The second time I took the bar exam, I came one or 2 points shy of passing one of the portions. And that's when I started doing photo reading and the mind map. And then I remember after that, I remember asking you, Jackson, I didn't pass and I started the mind map. Should I start from the beginning or should I continue on? And I remember you gave me a great advice. You told me, no, don't start from scratch. Go ahead and continue on, because I had used the computer version. So I kept adding on to that. And every time I added on more stuff. And again, in hindsight, for the most part, substantively, from the time that I started doing the photo reading and the mind maps, the information was there. For me, my hurdle was the emotional anger aspect of it. And let me take the opportunity to add that now. What helped was the coaching. I remember going to 2 sets of coaching. I remember going to June's mind setting coaching and also for the regular session of the fellow bar members who are also going through the process, because it tends to be a little lonely, because when you're studying and everyone else is living on their lives and you have this goal that you want to achieve, it tends to get lonely. And CBR, the coaching, helped a great deal.
Yeah, and I want to talk about some of that in a little bit more detail, because I know that you did the coaching with our mindset coach, June, and that was a big part of just helping you wrap your head around everything that was going on and getting that in your own brain. And then I know that you also did the coaching to work on your writing.
And that was an aha moment for me, because it wasn't until after that I did that my writing got much better.
Yeah. And because the bar exam had changed, and you discussed this earlier, the test had changed, the essays had changed, it was important to be able to be contemporaneous with that. And so we worked with you on your writing, but then we were working on this bigger emotional component, and you were using photo reading. Now, we get lots of questions about photo reading. So let me just stop here and just ask you for a minute to describe photo reading and what it was and how it worked for you.
So for me, initially, I'm gonna be very honest. I questioned the photo reading, but then I had seen previous videos of your former students who were saying that it helped them. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna be very open and actually do it. I had done both the photo reading utilizing the book, and I also did it utilizing the computer. So it works in both ways. And what you basically do is you look at each page and you allow the information to be photographed in your mind, and then you go through the entire book, and then you turn it upside down, and then you go back, and then you skim through, and whatever information pops up to you, you stop, and then you look through it. And there were times when I photo read that when something popped up to me and I had questions about it, I would go to my mind map and to help so that it could clarify.
You also attended our boot camp. And so you got the live training where we talked about how to do that. And in this process of photo reading, I think you're right. Most people look at it first and say it can't possibly work. And yet you knew the material. And how many times would you say you got to photo read an outline? It had to be a lot.
Oh my gosh. I can't even count how many times I photo read outlines, but the information stuck.
Yeah.
It stuck.
So just to put the package together, what was happening was you were photo reading, then you were taking your notes and putting them in this visual form called a mind map.
Yes.
Working to deal with the emotional baggage and difficulties that were there. And you were getting assistance with your writing and that coaching. So when you put all that together, the reason that I'm pointing all this out is a lot of people think it must be easy. You've already passed a bar exam, so you just show up and take the test. But you had to work really hard at this, didn't you?
I did. One of the great things about your program is that you just give us a blueprint. And if we just do it, we will get through it. I remember allotting 20 hours per week. And if you do it, if you really sit down and do it, you will prevail.
So what did it feel like, Marie, when you got the results this time and you saw that you had now crossed the threshold and crossed by a lot?
So I was actually in a training room, and I kept checking the Florida website to see if the scores had come. And luckily, we were on break. And then I said, okay, I'm going to check again. And then it said, the results are in. And my hands were literally shaking. And then I checked, and I remember I had put my number. I had written it because I knew I would question myself. So I checked it, and then I saw pass. And I said, okay, no, I'm going to check again. Although I had written my number, I checked again in my email to make sure that it was me. And then once I confirmed it was me, I said, oh my God, I passed. I called my husband, my brother, I called everyone. I sent you an email. I even announced to my class, I passed the bar. And they're like, yay.
It's great. It's great. And I know that there are a lot of people who are going to be watching today who've been incredibly frustrated in trying to pass a bar exam, who may say to themselves, I'm too old, or I've been away too long, or there's too many things going on in my life. And you certainly had every reason to give up. You had a tough road at every step along the way. There were no gimmies for you at all. What do you say to those people who are feeling like they should just give up and walk away right now?
I'm telling you, do not give up. And Jackson, on top of that, I moved from Miami to Sebring the last week of the bar exam. And I think for me, it was a good thing because it allowed me to realize the world is going to move on regardless of whether I pass the bar or not. And it helped me put things into perspective. So I had a lot going on. On top of that. And the last week in February, I moved and I still managed to pass the bar. So really, if I can do it, and if you can do it, you can do it too, if you are willing to put the work and effort.
I'm sure anybody that's watching this interview can tell that you are just an extraordinary woman. You're the joy and the love that you bring. And I know that there probably hasn't been a student that we have cheered more loudly for than you, because we know everything you had to do to get to this spot. And I know that other students in the course were rooting you on, and everyone was just like, oh my gosh, it's there. And I know you're going to have a lot of fans after this interview, people going, wow, I saw that interview with Marie, and that's really, it knocks me out. I know that sometimes people think that they should do traditional bar review, even when they've not been successful. What did you find about this particular approach that made it stand out for you and that kept you going?
Okay, so one of the things that I really like about Celebration Bar Review is once I was able to have the courage to say, listen, I was disbarred. And I told them about the details. And they were like, Marie, initially I thought that there was going to be a negative, that they were going to think of me negatively. But that was not the case. They all rallied. Like, I've made longtime friends, and till this day still warms my heart. It really does.
And we know that too. And we know you agreed to stay in our private community group and be a moderator.
Yes.
And help people.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I know our students are the better for that. I think it is an extraordinary accomplishment for anyone to pass the bar. The way that you did it, the way that you had to fight through it and keep at it and keep knocking on the door until the walls fell down is really extraordinary. I'm grateful that you used the tools that we provided, that you embraced them and brought them in to make them work for you. And I hope that others that are watching will take that story to heart as well. I'm really appreciative of the fact that you would share this story. And we are so proud of you. I don't really have the words to tell you that. I think that this is the first time we've talked that you got your results. And so I just want you to know at a very personal level that I could not be happier and more thrilled for this result. Is there anything you want to share with our audience before we sign off today?
What I want to say is I am just so appreciative of Celebration Bar Review. And one of the things that I really admire about your organization is the fact that you truly, really care about each and every student. Because I remember when I first took it, I said to myself, oh my God, I'm going to have to spend money again. And I remember calling you, no, you don't have to pay because this is a pass guarantee. I was like, wait, what? I mean, I can continue and then I don't have to pay again? And then you said, yeah, no, this is a pass guarantee. And I'm going to tell you, this was very helpful. It's because it gets costly having to pay the bar, because every time you take it, you have to repay the fee again. Yeah, so thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who works for CBR. I'm just so happy.
As you should be. Listen, we are so pleased and proud of you. Look forward to great things. And we're honored to have been on this journey with you. So I know that our audience today, some people who have been inspired and encouraged, who might have been ready to give up. And maybe there's a little white butterfly coming on their shoulder today as well, telling them not to give up. So thank you, Marie. And again, our best wishes and congratulations. With that, we're going to sign off, and we'll be back again next time with another conversation. We thank you all for being with us. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.